There is a small island in Japan, a tiny piece of land sitting quietly in the East China Sea, where something extraordinary has been happening for over 300 years, and the rest of the world has almost completely ignored it. On this island, people do not just live long lives. They live full lives. They wake up without an alarm clock. They work in their gardens past the age of 80. They laugh with their grandchildren at 90. They sit with their friends at 100 and argue about whose vegetables grew better this season. They do not spend their mornings rattling pills into their palm. They do not sit in waiting rooms filling out medical forms with lists of conditions and complaints. They simply live, and they keep living, and they keep living. The island is called Okinawa, and for centuries, the people here have carried a secret. Not a complicated secret, not an expensive one, not a secret locked inside a laboratory or sold in a bottle for $99 a month. It is a simple secret, a quiet one, a secret built not from one miracle food or one magic exercise, but from a way of living passed from grandparent to grandchild for 300 years. And today I am going to share every piece of it with you, because if you are over 40, over 50, over 60 or 70, this may be the most important thing you watch this year. So please, get comfortable, make yourself a cup of tea, and stay with me until the very end, because the part that changes your life is always the part you almost skipped. In 1976, a Japanese doctor named Makoto Suzuki traveled to Okinawa expecting to find what doctors usually find in aging populations: frailty, dependence, decline. What he found instead stopped him completely. He found men and women in their 80s and 90s who were working, not light work, not sitting in chairs sorting papers, real work, garden work, fishing, walking long distances without assistance. He found people who laughed easily and slept deeply and moved without the stiffness and pain that he had come to associate with old age. He found something he had never witnessed in his entire medical career: a community of people who had not just added years to their lives, but had added life to their years. He called them the healthiest elderly population on the face of the earth. And then he spent the next 30 years trying to understand why. What he and the researchers who came after him discovered was never one single thing. It was a system, a collection of habits, foods, beliefs, and daily rituals that worked together like the gears of a beautiful old clock, each gear simple on its own. But together, they created something remarkable. They created lives that lasted. And today, I am going to walk you through each one. The first secret is a Japanese word with no direct English translation. The word is ikigai, pronounced ikigai, and it means, roughly, the reason you get out of bed in the morning. I want you to stop for just a moment and ask yourself honestly, when your eyes open tomorrow, do you have one? Not a responsibility, not a bill to pay. A reason, something that makes this specific day feel worth being awake for. Every elder in Okinawa has one. For some, it is a garden. For some, it is a grandchild. For some, it is a craft, weaving, cooking, fishing, carving. For some, it is simply the morning walk they have taken with the same neighbor for 40 years. The size of the ikigai does not matter. The world tells you that your reason for living must be grand, a legacy, an achievement, something the world will remember. The people of Okinawa will tell you something different. The most powerful ikigai is often the smallest one: a pot of flowers on a windowsill, a song you hum while you cook, a cup of tea shared with someone whose company you genuinely love. Research from the Japan Gerontology Research Center confirmed what Okinawans have always known. People with a clear ikigai were significantly less likely to develop heart disease, less likely to suffer depression, and dramatically more likely to be alive and active a decade later. This is not poetry. This is biology. Your body responds differently when you have a reason to be alive. Your cortisol drops, your immune system strengthens, your sleep deepens, all from something as simple as having a reason. So tonight, before you sleep, write down the answer to this question: what is the one small thing that makes me glad I am still here? It does not have to be profound. It just has to be real. That is your ikigai, and that is where everything else begins. Now let us talk about food, because I know many of you came here for this, and what I am about to share is not a diet, not a list of foods you can never touch again, not a calorie chart or a macro plan or a program with phases and rules. It is one sentence that Okinawan grandmothers have whispered at dinner tables for 300 years. Harahachi bu. Eat until you are 80% full, not stuffed, not satisfied to the point of leaning back and loosening your belt. 80%. Just enough that you feel content, but could still eat a little more if you chose to. That small 20% gap between 80 and 100, that is where longevity lives. When you eat to 100% full, your body is working at maximum capacity just to digest. Insulin spikes, inflammation rises, your digestive system is overwhelmed. Your body has no energy left for the quiet maintenance work that keeps you healthy, repairing cells, cleaning toxins, strengthening immunity. But when you eat to 80%, your body has fuel and reserve, day after day, decade after decade. That difference adds up to something extraordinary. Studies of Okinawan centenarians showed their average daily calorie intake was dramatically lower than the Western average, not because they were hungry, not because they were restricting, but because they genuinely stopped when they felt satisfied rather than stuffed. And they never counted a single calorie. They just listened to their bodies. They ate slowly enough to actually hear those signals. Because when you eat fast, as most of us do, the message from your stomach to your brain arrives 20 minutes too late. By then, you have already eaten 20% too much, every meal, every day, for decades. The practice is beautifully simple. Eat slower. Put your fork down between bites. And when you feel almost full, stop. Sit for 10 minutes. You will discover that almost full becomes completely satisfied, and you have just given your body a gift it has been quietly waiting for. Here is the finding that surprised researchers most. When they analyzed all the data from Okinawa, the health records, the dietary patterns, the lifestyle habits, they found something they did not expect to be as powerful as it was. It was not a food. It was not a supplement. It was not an exercise. It was people. Specifically, it was a social structure the Okinawans call moai. A moai is a group, usually 5 to 10 people, who commit to walking through life together. They are not just neighbors who wave across the fence. They are something deeper. They meet regularly. They share meals. They check on each other. They sit together through the good days and the hard ones. When someone in the moai gets sick, the others show up. When someone loses a spouse, the others do not disappear after the funeral. They stay. And research confirmed what Okinawans have always felt in their bones. This is medicine. Loneliness, scientists now tell us, is as dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It raises cortisol. It increases inflammation. It weakens the heart. It accelerates the exact cognitive decline that everyone fears most. The Okinawans built a social structure specifically designed to make sure that no one ever faces life alone. And the people inside a strong moai live longer than those without one. Not by months, by years. So your action is simple. Think of 5 people you feel genuinely comfortable with, the ones you can call without a reason. Commit to seeing them or speaking to them not when it is convenient, but regularly. Schedule it like a doctor's appointment, because in many ways it is more important than one. Here is something that will make many of you quietly relieved. The elders of Okinawa do not go to the gym. They do not have a structured workout routine. They do not follow a fitness program with phases and rest days and protein shakes, and yet their bodies are strong. Their legs carry them. Their balance is extraordinary. Their hands still work at 90. How? Because they never separated movement from life. In the modern world, we made a strange and damaging division. We sit completely still all day, in chairs, in cars, on sofas, and then carve out 1 hour to go somewhere special and call it exercise. And we come home, sit back down, and feel we have done our part. The Okinawans never made that separation. Movement for them is simply what life looks like. They sit on the floor, which means they get up from the floor multiple times a day, one of the most powerful exercises a human body can perform. They walk to where they are going rather than searching for the closest parking space. They garden, bending, squatting, carrying, gripping, natural movements the body was designed for. They cook their food from scratch, which means standing, stirring, chopping, moving for an hour each day. None of this feels like exercise. None of it requires willpower or a gym bag or motivation. It is just life. But those small, gentle, constant movements, accumulated across every day of every decade, build the kind of body that keeps working long after bodies that were only exercised in 1-hour bursts have begun to fail. Your practice starting tomorrow. Sit on the floor while you watch television, even for 20 minutes. Walk to your mailbox slowly instead of glancing from the door. Cook one meal from scratch this week. Stretch your arms above your head every time you walk through a doorway. None of these things feel like exercise. That is exactly the point. There is one final secret, and I believe it is the one we have lost most completely in the modern world. The people of Okinawa have a different relationship with time. They are not rushing. They are not optimizing every hour. They live inside what the Japanese call mei, the art of the meaningful pause, the belief that the space between things is as important as the things themselves. They sit quietly before the day begins, not scrolling, not planning, not mentally rehearsing the list of everything that needs to happen, just sitting, listening to whatever sounds surround them, feeling the air, being, for just a few minutes, completely present. This is not laziness. This is one of the most powerful health practices available to a human being. Chronic stress, the constant low hum of urgency that most of us carry every waking hour, is one of the most destructive forces the body can experience. It suppresses immunity, it raises blood pressure, it floods the body with cortisol that inflames tissue and accelerates aging at the cellular level. And the terrifying part is that most people have carried this stress for so long they have stopped noticing it. It just feels like normal. The Okinawans never accepted that as normal. They protected the quiet. They made space for stillness, not because they are monks or philosophers, but because their culture understood 300 years ago that the body needs a rest that is not just sleep. It needs conscious stillness. 5 minutes before the phone turns on in the morning. 10 minutes outside in the afternoon, eyes resting on something natural, something green, something that asks nothing from you. A slow walk with no destination and no voice in your ear. This is not wasted time. This is the time that makes all the other time worth having. I want to leave you with one final story. There is a woman in Okinawa whose name I want you to carry with you after this video ends. Her name is Nabi Kinjo. She was 104 years old when a journalist asked her the question every journalist eventually asks the very old. What is your secret? She thought about it quietly. She looked at her garden. She looked at her hands, and then she said something so simple the journalist almost did not write it down. She said, I never tried to live a long life. I just tried to live a good day, and then another one, and then another. One good day, then another, then another. That is all it has ever been. That is all it ever needs to be. You do not need to move to Okinawa. You do not need to overhaul your entire life in one dramatic moment. You just need to begin. One small choice at a time. One morning at a time. One good day, chosen deliberately, lived fully, offered to yourself like the gift it actually is, at a time. Your best years are not behind you. They are waiting in the next good day you decide to live. Go live it. We will see you in the next one.